Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Super Gaming Minute, the channel dedicated to all things gaming. Now today I want to talk to you guys about the Bittboy, a budget-friendly Game Boy emulation type handheld, and go over all of its features, what it does, and if it's worth the price tag, and answer that question, is it worth picking up? Alright guys, but before we get into the video, if you guys like all things gaming, do not forget to like, don't forget to subscribe to Super Gaming Minute to stay up to date with all of our new content coming out. We release 2 new videos every week, so subscribe to stay up to date with each new video. Now, I don't own a Bittboy, but I have purchased these types of systems before. And with the amount of retro Game Boy clones on the market, somebody needs to go over all of the little nuances and sort through them and find out which ones are good and which ones are bad, in hopes that I can keep people from buying the bad ones. Let me do the research, you guys just watch the videos. But enough with the intro, let's get right into things. The Bittboy is a retro handheld gaming device that uses emulation to play classic video games, which looks like, albeit, a smaller version of the classic Nintendo Game Boy. The Bittboy offers a wide range of support when it comes to the consoles it supports, and I'll get into all that in a moment. Manufactured by a company out of the UK called Middlebridge Limited, and offering a plentiful selection of other handhelds for a very modest price. It's got me wondering if these little handhelds are worth the money paid, or if it would be better to save up and purchase something like the Analog Pocket instead. Now, anyone who has watched my last video on the Analog Pocket knows my feelings about it and understands that it is in a completely different league than any cheap Game Boy ripoff on the market and is well worth the price that it goes for. Also, if you haven't watched that video, I'll leave a link to it here for you to check out. But what if I just want to relive those old games from my past and don't care about playing it on the most technically advanced system? Well, hopefully after watching this video, you'll have an idea of whether or not the Bittboy is the right system for you to scratch the classic gaming itch without breaking the bank. Just like the Analog Pocket, this console was built with the Game Boy in mind. I mean, one look at the thing and you could guess that that was the case. But Game Boy isn't the only platform that it supports. The console also supports Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, the NES, Super NES, Neo Geo, Master System, Sega Genesis, WonderSwan, and even the PlayStation 1, which gives you no shortage of platforms and games to play, which is a really fantastic thing. Now that being said, I would assume that some of the PlayStation 1 games would play better than others due to, well, a bunch of factors actually, including the processor and the lack of certain buttons and even joysticks. But when it comes to the other platforms supported on the console, it's reported that it emulates these titles wonderfully. Now, since this is a very budget-friendly system, there aren't a lot of different accessories that come with the console or are supported. There will be no dock, no Bluetooth support, none of that stuff. It's very cut and dry, which is not only expected, but it's completely fine. Included in the box, you'll have the console itself, plus a USB charging cable. Bittboy also offers an 8GB micro SD on their website for about $10, which you'll need in order to play the games. Now, as mentioned earlier in the video, the Bittboy gets its design inspiration from the classic Game Boy, with a similar textured plastic feel and button placement. Although it's about half the size, which if you have large hands could be a problem and might feel a little awkward in your hands, but would fit in your pocket or backpack nicely. It's also a third of the weight of the original Game Boy. It comes with a removable, rechargeable battery, which is reported to get a solid week or 2 weeks, depending on how often you play, before having to charge it up again. The screen comes in at a whopping 2.4 inches, but I mean, as a comparison, the original Game Boy screen was only 2.6 inches, so although the console is a bunch smaller and lighter, its screen is roughly the same size as its inspiration. It has an LCD IPS screen, which is bright and sharp at multiple viewing angles. You can adjust the brightness, but it's not easy to do so. Now, instead of adding a proprietary brightness button or slider, Middlebridge opted to use the select button to bring up the brightness menu and adjust the brightness by pressing the turbo buttons, which is fine, but makes it more complicated to use. On that same note, the volume button is even more convoluted, having you press the select button and have you to go through a few volume options using the B and A buttons to adjust the volume, which is a definite hassle and unnecessary really, when they could have just added a volume slider instead. The emulators are pre-installed, so your only task would be to add whichever games you would like onto the SD card. So this is where the Bittboy really shines. Now there is a ton of Game Boy emulators on the market right now that are cheap, with bad emulation and all around bad performance. There's so many of those available on the market, and therefore I believe videos like this are necessary. Yes, these little consoles are very inexpensive, but even still, if you buy one of the bad ones, you're still out $50 to $100 or sometimes even more. But let's weed out the losers and get right to the good one. This is all around a great little product with overall very well received reviews. And the best part, they retail for about 70 bucks. Now here's even better news. They go on sale a lot. At the time of making this video, they're on sale right now for $35.99. Basically half off. And they go on sale fairly often. Okay, so in order to answer this question, there are a few things that need to be taken into consideration. This is an inexpensive emulator that allows you to play a wide library of games instantly. The reviews online are mostly positive, with some people mentioning that although the overall quality of emulators are great, they do tend to show signs of screen tearing and a little saturation of color that would have you fiddling around with the settings a little bit in order to make them look a little bit nicer. The build quality for price point overall isn't the worst thing on the market either. Now, if you are comparing this handheld with, let's say, the Analog Pocket, for instance, you are comparing apples to oranges. The Pocket is meant for the premium collector's market and has a certain standard of quality that is expected of it. As for the Bittboy, it's a very inexpensive and easy way to get your hands on all the childhood favorites of your past. And for that reason, I would have to say that the Bittboy is priced very well and well worth the price, especially if you do happen to pick it up for its discounted price. And for the fact that it's ready to play a wide range of consoles straight out of the box makes this a very tempting little handheld. Now, it really doesn't matter what I think. As I mentioned, I'm just trying to help weed out the good from the bad so that less people make mistakes when they're looking to purchase their next handheld. For anybody who has purchased one, I would love to know your experience with the console. Let me know in the comments section your experience with the Bittboy so everyone can see what to expect. Also, if there are any other handhelds out there that you would suggest I investigate, let me know that in the comments as well. And with that said, thank you guys so much for clicking and watching the video. I had a blast researching these consoles, and I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to SGM to stay up to date. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, we put out 2 videos a week, and the only way to know when the videos are coming out is to subscribe and ring that darn bell. And like the video too for the YouTube algorithm. And with that said, guys, have a great one, stay safe, and happy gaming.